so that you guys watch the recording. Okay, so I'm just curious, who has never been to one of these masterclasses before? If you've never been, can you put me a 1 in the chat? So this is interactive. I want to see lots of, you know, 1s and 2s when I ask you in the chat. I'm going to be actually literally showing you guys exercises so that I want you stuff to take home, to take away. I'll give you this recording. Okay, we're looking at the 5 steps of how to basically start this Taoist process of actually becoming like immortal, like we're talking about making our cells immortal, making our glands immortal, like aging, you know. These are the 8 Taoist immortals behind me, by the way, as well. They're like a really fun bunch of guys. You can see, look at them, look how fun they look, right? You know, one of them was even a, I don't know if cross-dresser is the right word, but they would go from male to female and backwards and forwards. So they're a really fun, creative bunch of people. They're not some like miserable, serious, sad, you know, I don't know what's yet, you know. This is really about fun. Everything about Taoism is about fun. And we all know Taoism from multiple orgasms, but there's actually a lot more to it. Like it's almost like the multiple orgasms are like the gateway into something way, way deeper, basically. So I've prepared a PowerPoint, as I always do, I'm sure, if you guys know me. So let me bring the PowerPoint up. It's going to create some structure around what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. Okay, let's go to the beginning instead of the end. Okay, cool. So play from the start. Where we're at. Okay, give it a second. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Continue to share this PowerPoint window. Yes, continue to share. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we go. Taoism, immortality, and orgasms. This is the subject of today. And this is literally the thing about Taoism that excites me the most. I mean, I got into Taoism chasing orgasms like a lot of people do. And the thing is, by the way, if you're in here and can you please mute? Okay. I'll give you a chance to ask questions at some point, but just mute please for now, because otherwise you're going to, you know, be on the recording basically. Okay. So, it excites me the most, right? Because there's a lot of different aspects to this, but ultimately, you know, our body is the temple. Our body is like the chamber, is where all of this amazing stuff goes on, and getting your body into the healthiest, the best state you can, and then actually reversing aging. And you can do it for vanity reasons. You can do it for health reasons. You can do it for a whole load of reasons. It doesn't matter which reason you do it for. It's just amazing that you have this ability. And today, in this day and age, when obviously there's a lot of pressure on people about appearance, women are having all kinds of cosmetic procedures, and men too, which turn out can often be damaging to the body, and they're definitely not fixing us from the inside. But with this, we can actually go inside the body, and we can actually heal from the inside out. By the way, I know that we're all in different parts of the world. I'm really curious, where are you guys? Can you type into the chat your nearest city, where you are, your country, anything you feel comfortable with? It would be lovely to kind of get an idea about where we all are. So moving on. Okay. So yeah, not all of you know me. Okay. So my name's Jade Lotus, and I've studied and practiced Taoist alchemy for over a decade. And through the practice, so I got into it because like I was not having any orgasms, and that was how I got into it. But what I found was that when I blew the lid off of this energy block that was stopping me from having any orgasms and became multi-orgasmic, what basically happened was like all these kind of like, you know, low-level health problems, like getting a cold every like other month, you know, having a lot of lower back pain, you know, getting frequent urinary tract infections, and having a terrible time falling asleep, insomnia, you know, anxiety, and so on. All these things kind of started to just disappear off into the background, and me just coming like into my health as well. So I was like, whoa, this is more than like just me having orgasms. That was just the beginning of it, basically, you know. so I studied with a bunch of people around the UK and Europe, right? And I was so into it. I decided to go to Thailand. I ended up studying with Master Mantak Chia, who I'm sure you all know who he is. I became like an instructor with Mantak Chia. I got certified to teach the sexual exercises as well as Iron Shot Qigong and other forms of practices. I also studied as a I did a degree in Chinese medicine as well. So I have this Chinese medicine background to this all, which I guess gives me like a unique perspective on it. Also, I'm a certified Tantra educator as well. Like I've worked with a lot of people doing body work. So it's Tantric Taoist body work using Karsai, which is like a form of like health giving Taoist massage of the genitals and the whole body, but specifically of the genitals. It's really, really incredible for the health, because in Taoism, you actually realize that the sexual health reflects the health of the whole body. And that's why we need sexual healing. It's actually about our longevity, and it's about going off into, you know, the future and living a long time. So here's me with Master Chia a few years ago, okay, in London. Amazing guy. And also, I will always give a disclaimer to people. So when we talk about Taoist exercises, these are powerful energies we're working with. Okay, this is something like we as Western people, and anywhere where you are in the world, we really need to respect this stuff. Okay, like, you know, there's a people talk about Western people cultural appropriating. I have a little, you know, some mixed feeling about, you know, that whole thing. But, you know, we have a tendency to go, oh, the Taoists are doing this, let me try this, and not respecting the lineage and the heritage and the way the Taoist master says to teach it. And a lot of people have injured themselves doing these exercises, following them improperly out of a book or a YouTube video. That won't happen with you following what I tell you to do today. It's not going to happen if you were working with me as my client, but it is possible that people can mess themselves up energetically. We hear about people talking about Kundalini syndrome, right? You know, it is real that people have got messed up with this stuff, but if you do it properly with a proper teacher, you won't get any problems. And also the other thing is sometimes just the more simple exercises are actually the most powerful and most important to do. So, you know, we shouldn't look at the simple things and say, oh, that's just a simple thing, I want to do the complex stuff. We can get massive benefits out of the most simple exercises. And I do the most simple exercises every single day, you know, and I've been doing this for like, you know, over a decade. So and everything here I'm doing, it's all about work I've done. It's all to do with the work I do with my clients, just to let you know. You can have the PowerPoint later. Okay, you just need to message me and I'll send you the PowerPoint, basically. I also have other videos which can go into more detail on different aspects of this, as well as that there's a possibility of working with me in a more let's say like a more regular kind of environment, okay, as well. That's all there as an option. I'm not going to go too much into that, just to let you know that's there. Okay. So if you want the PowerPoint from this, or you want any more information, any other masterclasses, just let me know. I have loads more info I give out for free. There's obviously working with me for an investment as well, but there's many options for you to follow this path further. Okay. So, and just can I invite at any point, if you want to take a screenshot, share in your story, let people know you've been here, tag me at the Art of the Bedchamber on Instagram. That would be fantastic, because then we can let more people know about what's going on here, that this stuff is really even possible, because most people think sexuality is limited to maybe like positions or a kink or whatever various things, you know, styles of porn or whatever. But this is about understanding we can heal the body at the cellular level. We can reverse aging. We can open our consciousness, activate our creativity. We can do so much stuff with the sexual energy that's way more than what anybody else thinks is possible. So this is my passion, to let people know this is possible, to let people know you can do simple stuff that can really, really change your life. Okay. And even when we look, so much of this stuff is so straightforward. It's so simple, right? Orgasm and immortality. It makes perfect sense that the very energy that created you can also be recycled to reverse cellular degeneration and rejuvenate your glands to reverse aging, because a lot of the aging, it comes when the glands start degenerating. That's why you can have one 35-year-old that looks just like a ghost, yeah, and the next one that's full of vitality. A lot of that is to do with the glands, and specifically the thymus gland, which is here in the chest, just here, you know. So smiling, giving love to the thymus gland, even that is just a helpful thing. Obviously there's so many aspects to this. We'll just go into some of it today, but let's have fun. So we're going to look today at the 5 principles of immortality. So on the right here is the Queen Mother of the West. In a moment, I'm going to share with you who is the Queen Mother of the West. You've got my little picture. Oh, let's put this so it's just me. You can see. Okay, so we're going to see that lady there. This is the Queen Mother of the West. You can always look at her on Google later on. Okay. This masterclass, we will go into the 5 principles of immortality. We're using ancient and modern science principles. So the ancient Taoist science, I'll explain how that evolved in a moment, and also stuff that's coming from like modern science, because actually it's almost like the Taoists knew this stuff thousands of years ago, and modern science is catching up with this. But there's very basic stuff I'm going to tell you here that almost no doctor or anyone will tell you. It's crazy. And just understanding certain really simple science things that it seems like nobody's telling anyone can make such a difference in your life. So today you can start to take steps to begin the process of slowing down the aging process and reversing cellular degeneration. Okay. Through some simple steps. I don't know if anyone can guess what are the 5 principles of immortality. I'd love to hear a guess. Stick it in the chat. I'm going to quickly check. Where are we? Oh, okay. India, nice. Hey, happy birthday, India. India had the birthday this year. It's almost, I don't even know. Don't ask me the number, but it's almost 80 years old, India. We got New York City, Alaska, India. Which part of India? India is a huge place. London, Austria, Somerset, Hanoi. Nice. I know who you are. Okay. Bulgaria, Spring Hill, Florida, Sweden. Cool. Semen retention for men. It kind of ties into it. Okay. But I guess you guys are going to find that we're looking at this from maybe like a new perspective. Breathing comes into it. It's the first thing we do. Yep. Love that. Balance. Yeah. Balance, grounding, you know, all of these things are important. I guess I'm going to just put it across from the perspective of what I've learned in my own practice with my clients, with the studies I've had and everything. Just saying hi to everyone ever in the world. I can see Florida just showed up. So, and just reminder that if you're not muted and you make a sound, it's going to come up in the recording. So let's just make sure we're muted. It's not always easy to. I should put a settings. I'm going to just check now. Everybody is okay. I know there's people I know here, people who are new. It's amazing to see everybody. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. I asked a question, by the way. The Queen Mother of the West. How many men is she said to have had carnal intercourse with? I want to guess, yeah? I asked on my Instagram story. I don't know if anyone guessed. Stick it in the chat. Let's guess how many guys that she had carnal intercourse with. Will come up in a moment. And okay, so this is our 8 immortals. Like I said, this is a really fun bunch of guys. They're really cool. You know, if you go and read stories about them, and they're talking about immortality, but it's almost like these are legends and stories, and there's, you know, practical aspects we can put into our lives, let's just say. So, oh, okay, here we go. Immortality. So we're going immortality from legend to fact. So Taoism is famous for its 8 immortals. So it's like you have the 12 disciples, you know, in Christianity, or the 12 sons of whoever, or whatever it is, you know. And these colorful figures roamed around ancient China, wielding various magical powers and attaining immortality. They had colorful personalities, including one who changed genders, and were a fun bunch of people. They represent the ideals of virtue, overcoming adversity, challenging ourselves, and the pursuit of enlightenment. They were not born immortal, but they achieved immortality through their magical powers, which were their skills to master energy. And that's what we're looking at today, mastering energy, mastering our bodies, right? These amazing, like high-tech bodies are more high-tech than anything NASA invented, anything Elon Musk or whoever invented, but most people are just using them like their golf cars. And that's a lot of what this is about, is actually learning to use the body properly. So the point is that anyone who is willing to put in the work can have these same powers today. That was the stuff of legends. So, okay, you can see she slept with 5,000 men. Yeah, this is how the story goes. Okay, the Queen Mother is the icon of especially female Taoists still to this day today. Her story is that she had intercourse with 5,000 men and used their energy to become immortal, floated up into the clouds to live on this mountain. It's a legendary mountain called Kunlun Mountain. So it's interesting because I think in East Asia, they don't have the same morality as, you know, in Judeo-Christian culture. So the story is from a time when women were living under extreme persecution and had little more rights than farm animals. So if you imagine that you had guys having like 3,000 wives, you didn't really have women doing that. So she's like the opposite of what women were doing at that time. Okay, so on Kunlun Mountain, she cultivates a garden of peach trees of immortality. And anyone who eats one of those peaches can become immortal. So we know what a peach is kind of representative of, don't we? You know, when you look into the meaning of the legends. And today, Taoist women yearn to eat the fruits, which are symbols of what we can do if we learn to cultivate our energy. So it's like we're cultivating our garden full of peaches. So, okay, now let's look at the Yellow Emperor. So this is another, some people say legendary, some say real. I think of him as a real guy who ruled China for 3,000 years back at the time of the pyramids. Like many emperors, he had thousands of wives and concubines. He was struggling to keep them happy. And I'm sure any of the guys here can think of an obvious problem of what's going to happen if you have so many ladies you need to keep happy. There were actually some Chinese emperors that literally copulated to death. You can imagine, right? Apparently you only have a certain amount of ejaculations. And now we come into the semen retention thing, because he summoned 3 peasant women, but they're also sometimes referred to as goddesses, you know, but then every woman is a goddess. So who knows? But they taught him the sexual folklore of energy cultivation. So this seems to be stuff that had been known by the peasants for God knows how long, you know, but this is when the Yellow Emperor, he learned how to make love without ejaculation and how to cultivate energy. But he also learned all the stuff about Chinese medicine. It's been written down in this book called The Yellow Emperor's Classic of Chinese Medicine. So some of you will know about, you have these sounds like shh that help certain organs to heal. Those sounds were in that book that's allegedly written 4,500 years ago. It's the basis of Chinese medicine and Taoist practices today. And actually, I was having acupuncture a couple of years ago with a very Chinese guy, and he was saying he was treating one of my organs, and I made the sound for the organ, and he's like, the Su Wen. And I didn't realize it was actually, the sounds were written down thousands and thousands of years ago, and we can still use this stuff today, and it works. And obviously, it can be adapted for the modern lifestyle as well, which is how, you know, the Taoism, it got practiced, passed from one master to the next, to the next, to the next. The master would tell the student, okay, you're ready to teach, right? But you're always adapting it. So you'll find some Taoist teachers, you know, Master Chia is his way. There's different Taoist teachers teaching in different ways. And this is we just evolve and adapt it to the different kind of lifestyles and ways our clients are living, because the lifestyle is always changing. So I wanted to quickly jump into this thing, sexual vampirism. It's a real thing. Some of you may know about it, some of you may not. Okay, there's a long history within sexual vampirism, or sorry, within Taoism, of sexual vampirism. I just mentioned the Queen Mother of the West. That's sexual vampirism. You have Dracula. I'm going to elaborate on what it is. Energy give and take is a normal thing, and vampirism is real. It's often done on an unconscious level, right? We sometimes feel people sucking our energy. I don't know if anyone's ever made love to someone and felt drained afterwards, or felt really, really full of energy, or, you know, you may notice it's you, you may notice it's the other person. It's really good to kind of develop awareness around this. Same with the use of pornography, can be very draining on people's energy, you know. So some amount of, you know, subconscious give and take is not necessarily like, you know, such an awful thing, but this is why it's important that we cultivate our own energy, so we're not sucking off of other people. I'm sure I've done that in my past, for sure. And it's good to protect our own energy so we're not getting drained as well. Unfortunately, when you look at pedophilia and sexual exploitation about it, this is going on unconsciously, right? There are some people practicing casual sex that are probably unconsciously also harvesting other people's energy. So it can go on conscious and subconscious. Okay. There are people who consciously take energy. Okay. Not very many. I knew one guy, he told me he was doing it. I told him it's not a good idea. He didn't listen to me. He ended up in a really terrible accident, and I'm sure it was bad karma because of what he was doing. I don't think it benefits anyone, just in case anyone's thinking about it. It's better to cultivate your own energy and to charge from nature rather than to be taking energy from other people. Okay. And I just want to mention, I know some of you may have been seeing in my stories me talking about a situation going on in Syria where women are being kidnapped and put into like slave markets, the same as what happened in ISIS. There's a lot of like sexual exploitation going on in the world. It's also, sadly, it's going on in China, that refugees from North Korea are being sexually exploited as well. It's going on in Sudan, like in mass. Obviously, it's going on everywhere in the world. And I just want to ask if people can maybe just send some love out to these people that are suffering, you know, in the various situations of sexual exploitation in the world. I think it's important that we do that, because I think most of us are very privileged, you know, even the fact we're not having to deal with this. And also to just be aware that there are these terrible situations going on, like in places like Sudan, places like Syria. If we raise our awareness about them, maybe share it so that people actually know it's going on. So at least it's not just going on in the dark. I would just, as you probably have seen, I've been doing that in my story, and I just like to, you know, send some love out to those people and awareness, and just hope that, I think that when we as individuals start sexually healing ourselves, that we're somehow going to be also healing this big sexual trauma that the whole world is holding as well. So anyways, getting on and back to what we're talking about. Here's the 5 steps to immortality. I know some people guessed. Okay, I think some guesses came close. Okay, the first thing we need to do is balance. We had that word come up. Your autonomic nervous system, your breath. Okay, open your organs and create emotional harmony and flow states. The flow state is so important. Optimize your energy meridians and centers. Recycle your sexual energy and become like a child again. Okay. And the thing is, these points all interconnect with each other. Like, for example, when we can come into the flow state and we can overcome like getting nervous about everything, you know, I was just thinking today, normally if I had a talk, or not normally, but say in the past, if I had a talk like this, I'd be all like nervous before, you know. And this morning I went to the farmer's market, got my shopping, I was coming back and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just have fun, create my PowerPoint, just flow with it, you know, and just get ready and have fun doing this, and invite you guys all, let's just have fun together, because a big part of this, become like a child again and everything, it is about having fun. And you, if you miss out this childlikeness and this kind of like sweet, innocent sort of sexiness, the fun, you know, you're missing a big part of it, and it's not complete. So I think that these are the 5 important parts. Okay. If you know anything about Taoism and you disagree with me on this, please let me know in the chat. You can put it in the public chat. If you think something different, you think I've missed something, go ahead. I'm more than welcome to discuss this and input, but I'll let you know what I'm going to be sharing today. Okay, the first thing we should understand, autonomic nervous system, right? This is really important because the ANS is the function of your nervous system that keeps your organs, glands, and bodily processes functioning as you go through your day. So you're not going to be sitting here thinking, okay, let me make my liver do this. Let me make my kidneys do that. Let me get my digestion doing whatever. You know, it's all working on autopilot through your ANS. And your ANS operates in two modes, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic is relax and enjoy. And sympathetic is flight, fight, freeze, and fawn. Your body will only be healing while you are in the parasympathetic, relax and enjoy mode. Most people are stuck in sympathetic to various levels, often agitated by stimulant use, and the body cannot heal like this. This is the first step, and if you don't get this, the rest of the stuff is kind of pointless. So, and the steps, and we're going through them in the order, you know, it's so important to know this. And the thing is, if we look like 5,000 years ago, wherever the ancestors were living, Europe, Africa, Asia, whatever, you know, your ancestor would be walking through the jungle, the forest, or whatever, a wolf, a tiger, whatever comes out, the ANS goes into sympathetic mode. And this is amazing because then all that blood and energy is going into the heart, into the lungs. They can run super fast. They can get away, you know, climb up a tree and live to fight another day. If it wasn't for sympathetic, we would not be here today. What happened today is we have the same body as the ancestor 5,000, 10,000 years ago. It's not really changed. It's not really updated, but we're in a very, very different world. And if we're not learning how to use the body in this world, we really, you know, and this is only increasing and getting worse. If we don't know how to use the system, we're going to have suffering with mental health, suffering with physical health. We're going to be going through a lot of suffering, and just bringing the body into relax and enjoy is the first step that's really important. So you cannot get yourself regularly and effectively into parasympathetic. You can forget about everything. The quickest, most reliable way to do this is by breathing with your thoracic diaphragm. Okay, so when I've just said what I've just said about breathing with the thoracic diaphragm, okay, I'm just checking out the questions. Who knows this? Yeah, if you know what I'm going to show you, give me a 1 in the chat. If you don't know, give me a 2. Oh, yeah. So how is immortality defined in Taoism? Is it literal? Does it mean enlightenment? Is it energetic rather than physical? I think these are all like really, really fantastic questions. And I think there's different levels. Yeah, you can talk about immortality. I'm making my cells immortal. I'm making my glands immortal. I'm reversing aging, right? There's a whole part to it where you are, where you're also preparing your body so that when you're dying, and I think 1 or 2 of you guys who are my clients here will know this, right? That we create this energy body, and we create this kind of like a spaceship, right? Where we can take the 5 spirits, which I'm going to talk to in a minute. The 5 spirits live in the heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen, and the kidneys. And we put the 5 spirits into this spaceship, which is our energy body, and we send it up into the universe so that it can take its space in the violet light of the universe and sort of like become a star or something. There is that element to it as well. There's stories about Taoists dying and they're leaving behind like only like the fingernails and the hair, yeah, or you know, I had one of my first Taoist teachers was convinced, yeah, that you could become completely immortal. He was I don't know if he will. Yeah, he may do. Yeah, he was crazy, but he was very, very good with energy, and he was convinced he was becoming immortal. He was always quoting out of the Bible, and I think it's interesting because there's correlations between the Bible and Taoism, actually, you know, a few bits and pieces. So thank you. Love the outfit and background. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So very, very simple. How to hack your autonomic nervous system. Okay. Now, presumably everyone knows you've got a big set of lungs in here, right? And you can breathe into your lungs. Let's take a few breaths. And that around our lungs are ribs, okay? Right, the rib cage, okay? Presumably we all know we have that rib cage, okay? What you may not know is that in between the rib cage are muscles which are called the intercostal muscles, okay? And when we are in sympathetic, flight, fight, fawn, and whatever the other one was, okay, we are breathing with the intercostal muscles, which means the shoulders and the chest are moving. Like you're running or something, okay? Now, some people are stuck entirely in that phase. Other people are like, you know, going backwards and forwards. If you're in flight or fight, you can change your breathing and come down into relax and enjoy. Okay, freeze, that's it. Okay. Right, now if you come to the bottom of your rib cage, oh, let's just sit on a couple of pillows, right? We'll come to the bottom of the rib cage, hang on, right here, and just stick your fingers in under there, okay? You're going to find the bottom of the rib cage, you stick in, you go right in and up. And when you push up, you're pushing into a muscle which is called your thoracic diaphragm. Okay, someone's saying they can't see. Let's try and move there we go. Okay, so I'm going in and up. This is your thoracic diaphragm. And see if you can go in, up, and then push your fingers out with your thoracic diaphragm. There are some people that I'm directly under the ribs, yeah. There are some people who their thoracic diaphragm is completely frozen, okay? But if you start pushing your finger up and pushing it down, you're going to start activating it. So that's your thoracic diaphragm. Now, if you're breathing in relax and enjoy mode, okay, your thoracic diaphragm is moving, your rib cage is not. Okay, so we're going, the belly's coming out, not because I'm pushing, right? That's me pushing my belly. Okay. When I'm breathing in, the thoracic diaphragm comes down. What it does is it comes right down into the belly, and then the belly rises. All the internal organs get a massage because the thoracic diaphragm is moving. So let's try and take 5 deep breaths with the thoracic diaphragm, not with the rib cage moving, and feeling the belly coming out. Okay, just shut our eyes and let's take 5 long, slow, deep breaths. See if you can get a nice little relaxed feeling as you're doing this. Okay, so if you've got that and it's feeling good, just keep going. If you're struggling, can you just type in the chat if you're having a problem with this and what's going on? By the way, so Brian's just put that to him, immortality is the power of life over death. Yeah, and I get it. And you know, when you're doing these practices, you literally start feeling at some point that you're reversing your aging on various levels. And the fact you can do that, you know, almost like naturally, I always joke, without drinking celery juice. I do drink celery juice, but it's not the tastiest. So I can consciously incarnate and disincarnate at will. Yeah, I mean, what we can do with this stuff, I think, as long as we're willing to put in the work and take it there, we can take it there, you know. So someone's feeling that there's a string pulling on her throat and tongue. So that can happen, that like there's like tension inside, because there's a connection between the pelvis, the diaphragm, the throat. Sometimes there can be like a blockage there, and we can just like do the breathing and just smile to the tension and give the information to the body to let go. And this can really help. Okay. Have we got that? So I recommend, okay, this is not something you should just do once a week. I recommend when you're going to bed to start practicing this at when you're in bed, last thing at night, to bring your awareness to your breathing during the day. Just with this simple exercise, you can start to like really change your relationship with your body, your stress levels, your anxiety, and everything. And if you want to know more about the exercise, I have a whole training I can send you if you haven't seen it already, showing how you can go into using this to open your 7 diaphragms. Okay, so okay, any questions, just feel free to type them. In the meantime, I'm going to get on with the next one. Okay, your organs and your emotions. This is really important, because forget about being immortal if your organs are not working properly. And your organs are the center of your emotions. And I really recommend, you know, if you're going to say to me, where's my spleen, where's my liver, please, yeah, you know, your liver is sitting there working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you're never even saying thank you to your liver. And then one day you go to the doctor and the doctor says you have liver cancer, and you say, where's my liver? But you never even said thank you to your liver. You know, this is something Master Chia said, and I really think building a relationship with our organs, sending love to the organs, is really, really important. For your organs to function properly, they need to be relaxed so that the blood and the fluids can flow. This is what Chi is, okay? When you experience emotions that are not processing, they become blocked in your body, which creates tension and blocks energy. And it literally, if your liver is tense, you could be vegan as anything and not taking any chemicals in and still get problems. Okay, this is so important to know. It's not necessarily about being 100% pure. I'm all for good eating and everything, but this is not about being, you know, completely pure, living off celery juice or whatever. You know, you want to have some fun in life, but when your organs are working properly, you can actually like process a lot of toxins, you know, even if you end up being exposed to things you don't want, which obviously is around in the air and everything. So as such, your organs won't be working properly. In a moment, I'm going to be showing how does this work, the emotions in the organs. But this is why doctors say stress is like the #1 killer. The state of your internal organs is essential to your health and longevity, and minor adaptations in terms of your posture and energy can make a difference. For example, your heart is here. If you're going around like this, and it's because you're emotionally protecting your heart, the blood is not going to be flowing properly through your veins. The veins can get built up of fat, and you might need like a heart stent in your heart or something. If you even just change and start going more straight and opening your heart, it's going to really improve the flow of the blood in your heart. It's going to improve your breathing. If you take those steps to start breathing with your diaphragm, it's going to improve the whole cardiovascular health as well. Very, very simple things to do that, you know, we can do. And just smiling to your heart is make a big, big difference as well. Smiling and sending love to your heart and allowing that openness to happen. Okay. The first step to this is actually to accept there are no good and no bad emotions, with one caveat: hate is a bad emotion. That's a separate one. It's not even an emotion. It's a state of darkness. You know, hatred is just a state of darkness. We don't want to go there, but anything else, we just want balance and flow. So belief systems and programming are a major reason why energies become blocked. We don't need to go through this whole slide, but if you want the, because I don't want to take 3 hours on this, but, you know, yeah, we'll just go over the basics of this, which, yeah, the emotions arise from the internal organs. The organs give us a desire, right? The heart makes us want to love. Out of it, what makes us want to connect? Out of the connection comes love. And then we have the two sides, which we actually say is love and hate. The liver gives us the drive to create all our projects, everything we're doing in the physical dimension. Out of this drive, we actually have the emotion of anger. And then we have kindness, which balances anger. And anger is very connected into the drive and the creativity. We just think of it as bad because most people have repressed anger instead of pure flowing anger. If any of this isn't making sense, just type a question. I'm going to check in a minute, and I'll go into a bit more detail into it. So for the alchemical system to function properly, we need to have all the emotions balanced there. But because, you know, some of the emotions push us up, some of them push us down, some of them keep us in the center, and we need the up, we need the down, and we need the in the center, right? So for example, sadness pushes us down, anger pushes us up. But when we get into the state where we have them balancing each other out, that's like the perfect flow state. Okay, so this is all based on what we call the system of the 5 elements. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, that we actually say we have fire element with the heart and the small intestine, wood element with the liver and the gallbladder, water element with the kidneys, metal element with the lungs, earth element with the spleen. Each of these is giving us a desire, okay? Out of the desire of the heart to love, we're getting the love, joy, happiness, and patience, okay? Out of the spleen, it's given us like the desire to be centered, grounded, to be balanced. That's what the spleen is all about. It gives us this trust, openness, and fairness. The lungs give us the connection into the universe, the spiritual connection, courage, sincerity, and appreciation. The kidneys is all about our drive. Like if you're running marathons, this is all coming out of your kidneys, like endurance is coming from your kidneys. We also actually get the wisdom because the kidneys connect to the brain, the sexual organs. The kidneys are like almost the most important of all of this, okay? And then the liver, which give us the drive to create in the physical dimension. So that's about the creativity. It's giving us kindness, benevolence, forgiveness, and gratitude. Okay. Now we have the emotions balancing. Okay. Hatred, cruelty, impatience, worry, anxiety, mistrust, envy, sadness, grief, and loss, fear, paranoia, traumas. Okay. Anger, jealousy, and frustration. I've got a whole training on this. If you want to listen to an hour and a half about this, send me a message. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the point is, we need to balance the emotions, okay? We can't be going, I'm never feeling angry. I haven't felt angry for 5 years. I'm so spiritually enlightened. No, you've just repressed your anger and you probably come across as passive aggressive and bitter if you're doing that. Actually, it's not pure. It's not pure-hearted. And we're going to find out in the end, being pure-hearted is a really important part of this because it's all about going back to being like a child. So, okay. You're aware that there are these emotions. This is important. And also negative is a gift as well. When we can get into the place, and I think this is a massive, massive thing. We're taught, oh, you're angry, you're bad. Oh, you're afraid. Oh, this is like shameful. Aren't you weak? You know, no negative emotions are bad. It's an intelligent messenger system. The positive and negative, just like you need the positive and negative in the electricity. Our culture doesn't teach people to read the negative messages, and it teaches us to repress them, which actually can lead to that there's so many messages saying, oh, you should have been anxious about this and that and whatever in the past, that we're in a state of constant anxiety. or we're constantly battling our anger. So we're feeling this anger is trying to rise up all the time. We're getting into rages, we're getting passive aggressive, we're cutting ourselves off, we're cutting off our creativity. Okay. When we're not in the flow with the emotions and we're looking with judgment, and we can see a lot of spiritual people, they're like, oh, this is a bad, angry person. This is a bad person for this. You know, there's so much of this within spirituality, within religion. This is bad. This is, you know, so little of a sense of curiosity. And I think a childlike sense of curiosity to whatever's going on in life is so important. You know, when we're immediately there judging like some miserable old adults, and, you know, we're losing these really important parts of ourselves, and we can spend a lifetime battling ourselves instead of understanding these are all parts of me. You know, if in any way you believe in anything divine or spiritual or whatever, or you believe that you are perfect, you understand your anger is perfect, your feelings are perfect, your sexual energy is perfect, everything, it's all important. And if we're block off, say you block off the anger, and this has happened to me with several clients I've had that are like, you know, when you meet these people and they're like done all this spiritual work and put so much work into self-development, and they're like, yeah, I've not felt angry for like 5 years, I'm so enlightened. And when you start asking them questions, you realize they're actually having really bad relations with certain family members, right? They might even be on the brink of divorce. And there's a few people I've worked with where we got into that emotion of anger, and we started to create acceptance, and someone went from the brink of divorce to having the best sex he'd had in his life in like 2 weeks of more sex than in the last sort of 2 years with his wife. Another guy that had his son hadn't spoke to him for years. When I finally got him to accept and honor his anger, like within a month, he's going, oh, I'm going here with my son and doing this and that with my son, and now they're back, you know. So when I think we all know these irritating people that are like, so like, oh, I'm so perfect, you know, and they're just passive aggressive because they've repressed their anger. So it's so important we're real, you know, because that's what this is all about. It's not being perfect, it's not being, oh, I'm so spiritual. It's about being you, it's about being real. Take your quirks, love them, emphasize them. That's what makes you as a unique individual. We don't want to be these cardboard cutouts. So, and anger is a gift, as I just said. Anger is a gift. And I'm gonna see, where are we? Okay, then we're going to go on to the next part. Okay, so any questions about this? Does this mean emotion blockages and emotional flow impacts how reality manifests? Totally, totally. I mean, there's people like, sorry, there's people who are, have I just, oh no, okay. Oh, sorry, my Apple Music just started playing. Let me just turn that off. Sorry. Yeah, so there's, you know how these people that they believe all doom and gloom, yeah, about everything, you know, and they manifest it, you know, like say, look at America, you know, and there's Americans like, you know, Julian, right? There's Americans that are like, I've got these opportunities and I'm going to build a business like you, Julian. You know, you could have sat there, you could have made excuses, you could have complained, you could have said everything's so difficult. You know, half the world would probably give their left leg to live in America or live in the UK. You know, you see these people in the UK because there's a certain amount of like free money that comes from the government, you know, that you can get if you're like, I'm depressed and so on. You know, there's English people sitting around smoking weed and complaining about being depressed. Obviously, there's some genuinely sick. It's easy to get in a mindset where you're feeling, you know, you're disempowered. You see people coming here from Africa that have had not the greatest education, you know, and they work so hard and they go from being like, you know, a kitchen porter to like the chief financial officer of the company or something like that, because they work, they study, they put in the effort. They don't get, you know, when something comes along that's difficult, they don't go, oh, okay, that's difficult, you know. So we know, like, we create the reality. And I think also that that point about the Taoist immortals challenging adversity, it's if that makes sense, right? So it absolutely impacts, you know, because when I had blocked energy, I just saw the world very differently than I do now. I don't want to get too much into it and say things that are going to politically be controversial, but Master Chia says, for example, he tells people don't even bother, like, you know, doing all this activism or trying to change the world and so on. He says, start with yourself, grow that love within your heart, because once that love fills your heart, it's going to fill your body, and it's going to then be effortlessly showering out onto those around you in ways that are really, really positive, instead of you having a lack of self-love and trying to sort of change the world. And we all know probably these awkward aunts who are always meddling in things for our best interest, but it just comes across as really icky because it's coming from a lack of self-love. And another question. Oh, there's definitely a relationship between emotional blockages in the organs and illnesses caused by external toxins, because if your body's really open, you can get a lot of toxins and just be processing them and getting them out, because the chi flow is the flow of blood and lymph, and if your blood and lymph is working, all these toxins can be coming out. Like, for example, like I said, with the heart, if you're protecting your heart, you've been hurt, you're going around like this, you're going to like be causing problems with the physical heart as well, you know. It's like, for example, if you're struggling with a lot of guilt and shame around the sexual energy, you'll be tensing your lower abdomen, which is going to stop the blood and the lymph flowing in your pelvis, and your cervix will suffer, your prostate will suffer. It correlates with everything. And if someone says they never have any negative emotions, they're likely suppressing these emotions. Exactly. Like, we should be feeling all the feelings, we should be feeling all the emotions. So yeah, okay, does anyone know how do we start by opening up the emotion, the organs, the physical organs? Who knows? I should say, who knows? Put it in the chat. Smile. Yeah, we smile. I think, I'm presuming everybody here knows, we smile to the heart, we feel the love, joy, and happiness, right? Okay, I think every single person knows it. If you don't know, just send me a message wherever we message on Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever, and I will send you a whole training on this, teach you the inner smile meditation, starting off by doing the inner smile meditation, you know. But everybody, let's start today. From today, every day for the rest of your life, guys, you're going to smile to the heart. We're going to feel love. We're going to feel red energy, and we're going to tell our heart, I love you. And it's powerful. I mean, there was a lady that learned this inner smile, and she just learned that, and she was supposed to be dead in 6 months from liver cancer, and she's still alive 20 years later. So it's powerful stuff, you know. Yeah, with the colors. So guys, by the way, if you want any of these trainings, I'm going to put my work WhatsApp. Obviously, it's not my private WhatsApp. I'll put my work WhatsApp, and you can always message me there to ask me for any of the further trainings or the PowerPoint from today. So, okay. Oh yeah, and there's a sound as well. Let's just look at the sound as well. The same for the heart. Okay, it's like, I don't know if in America you have a tree called hawthorn. That's my English accent, right? Okay, that's the sound. Hawthorn is really good for your heart. Okay, and that's the sound. So if you're feeling palpitations, you're feeling we call it heat in the heart, you're getting discomfort around your heart, it just blows out that that heat. We call it the heat in the heart. So each organ has a sound as well. So okay, amazing. What's happened here? Sorry, I think I got these in the wrong order. What's happened? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. This is the next page. Okay. We're now on number three. Three? Yeah. Number three is the energy meridians and the energy centers. Okay. So the acupuncture meridians have been known for 4,000 years or more. It effectively treats conditions by working with the external meridians on your arms, your legs, your belly, your back, and so on. With inner alchemy, we go straight to the main meridian in the center, and we start to activate those main internal meridians, which then will feed those 12 meridians on the outside. Is really, really powerful. I think, honestly, I'm all for going for acupuncture, but when you're doing acupuncture and inner alchemy, or any kind of healing that you're doing, the effect is massive. Okay. Having an optimized energy flow can eliminate most illnesses, stop getting colds, you stop getting, various problems you have. I think there's people here who've worked with me that had similar results, that if you had an injury and operation, you're healing more rapidly. Just illness is greatly reduced. Obviously, it's normal to sometimes get ill, but I used to get ill like about 6 times a year, and now it's like almost never that it happens to me. Or if it does, it's just very, very mild. So once the first energy center starts to activate, just with working with the first one, you start having big changes in your health. There are 3 levels to this alchemy. The first one is to activate the physical health. Okay, then we activate the creativity and love, the passion. And the third is like the consciousness and the spirituality. All you need to do is activate the first energy center for this to work, which is amazing, that you don't need to, even with doing some small changes, that we can have massive, massive effects in our life. I mean, I remember when I was first coaching, that this client came to me, a guy came to me. Obviously, he became my client. I taught him just the inner smile. Okay, he had like really, really bad premature ejaculation. He'd had it his whole life. I taught him, he disappeared, and I thought, he must have just thought what I was doing is just not for him or whatever. It didn't make sense to him. And about 6 weeks later, I got a message from him going, Jade, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy. You completely changed my life. I'm now able to last in bed just from that one simple exercise. Like, it's crazy, like how a small exercise can have a huge effect as well. So the body is an alchemical chamber. And when we start to understand that we have these meridians, we have the energy centers, we have the huiyin right in the perineum, we have the lower dantian, which is just below the navel, the middle dantian in the heart, the upper dantian, we don't need to worry about those. We just need to worry right now about the lower dantian, okay? Because once that starts activating, everything else starts to fall into place. So the natural flow of the energy, and it starts as Jing, which is like the raw energy that we're created from, like our DNA, but it also very much correlates with sexual energy, the orgasmic arousal feeling. If you're not feeling arousal, your Jing is really blocked. That's not good. If you're feeling too much frustration, if you're feeling really horny, but it's totally nice, that's great. If you're feeling sexual frustration, that is also a blockage as well. So you don't want either of those extremes. You want to have plenty of sexual energy, which you're able to use and bring through your body to heal. So the natural flow of the energy is to rise up and transform in your belly from a feeling of horniness to the feeling of vitality as it becomes chi energy in your lower dantian. Okay, we'll look in a minute. How do we do that? Okay. Now we can see here really clear these 3 energy centers. This one, it's 2 fingers below your belly button in the middle of your body. So see if you can find that 2 fingers below your belly button in the middle of the body. We have the one in the heart as well. And then we have the one right in the center of the brain. We call it the crystal palace, not to be mistaken for the football team, in the middle of the brain. So that's soccer for Americans, by the way. Football in England is soccer in America. So yeah, the natural process is to move the energy through the 3 centers. So the thing is, if your lower dantian, which is the name of the energy center, if that's activated, it's going to naturally be sending energy up into your heart center. It's then going to activate and send it up into your consciousness center. is the energy reaches your heart. It meets the red loving energy and transforms into purple energy. This connection between love and sexual energy is vital for our sexuality as well, to be able to serve its purpose. So if the sexual energy is locked down in the lower part of the body, like, you know, for example, these people that are masturbating to porn all the time, this is your energy is very blocked in your lower body if you're doing that. The whole idea, you know, for example, when a guy starts practicing semen retention, and there can be all kinds of different struggles he goes through and breakthroughs he has, and just the fact he's going, okay, I'm going to sit with this energy instead of, you know, sneezing it out all the time, you know, is a big shift in consciousness actually when that happens. So the more that we're growing and cultivating the relationship with this sexual energy, the more we're becoming like high level, high sophistication people. And it's going to just have amazing effects, not just with our health, not just with our relationships, but in our whole lives as well. So the energy blocks, yeah, the energy blocks are caused by emotions. Like 98% of them are, we are not dealing with the emotions. We are feeling shame around the sexuality. And why are we feeling shame around the sexuality? Because we're not experiencing it as the pure spiritual consciousness expanding soul purpose that it really is. So we will always feel ashamed if we're not experiencing it as that spiritual aspect of ourselves. And we're obviously inculcated and indoctrinated with guilt and shame by religion, by society, you know, by Me Too, by everything. But when we overcome this, we can call it trauma and processed emotions, we're then able to really experience and come into our authentic self instead of operating on other people's programming. So the next bit, in part 3, recycle the sexual energy. Let's do a quick exercise. Okay. Anybody not know what is your dantian and how to store energy in your dantian? Let's see. I just had my Apple Music. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if you can hear that. Do not know how to store in your, I don't know if you just heard that music, but it just started playing automatically. Okay. If you do not know how to store in your dantian, give me a 1 in the chat. Okay. All right. I think there'll be a half will know, half won't. Okay. So if we get the 2 fingers, okay, and we put the 2 fingers below the belly button, okay, and then we're going to come to a point just 2 fingers below the belly button. It's actually the point on the front of the body we call the dantian fire. But what we're going to do is we're going to move with our mind into the center of our body. It's not the same as the second chakra. Don't store energy in your second chakra. So the second chakra is lower. It's where the womb is on the woman. Okay. This would kind of be chakra 2.5, we could say. Okay. But it's a big, you want it to be huge. You want your dantian to be huge in the end. Okay. Because you stored so much energy there. And when your dantian is strong, it's already starting to balance out your whole energy system. We're going to look at this really simple exercise. Okay. How does it work for men and women? We do it differently. Okay. Let's see if I can make myself a little higher. Grab a couple of pillows. Okay. All right. Okay. So find that point. Okay. Just 2 fingers below the dantian. Place your hand palm over palm, and you're going to have your thumb in your belly button. Okay. And then more or less your hands are over your dantian now. So let's just bring the attention into the dantian. Find that point in the center of the body. You might need to scan around a bit, find it there, and smile to your dantian. Okay. So in Taoism, we say with some of these exercises, female like and male polarity are opposite. Okay, so we do the exercise differently if we're male or female. Now, if you identify as something that's different from your biological or whatever, feel free to do it in whatever way you want. Experiment with it. I think that these exercises can actually work really well for people that is maybe having like experiences with their gender where they want to try something different. Yeah, I'm gonna just say that. Okay. So okay. To store in the dantian, you can just rub your belly. Okay, you can focus there. This all helps, right? But there's a specific way we do this. Now, if you're a man, okay, always says if you're a man, okay, you're going to start with your palm over your solar plexus. Okay, you're going to make a big clockwise circle towards your spleen and your left side. You're going to come all the way down to your pubic bone. You're going to come up to the other side, okay? And then you're going to do 35 more of those circles, each circle getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you end up with your hands there, okay? If you're a woman, that's part one, okay? If you're a woman, female identified, whatever you want to say, okay? Go this way, okay? You're putting the thumb into the belly button, and we're just going anti-clockwise. So it's towards your liver or towards your right side, but we're making a tiny circle. But then each circle is getting bigger, okay? And we're going to make these circles. Don't go fast because the energy likes us slow. We're going to make these circles, okay, up to 36 times, okay? And just relax and just, you know what, if you get a little nice feeling, that's energy. And just relax, enjoy it. And when you relax and enjoy the energy gets more. And that's how you cultivate energy. If you're going, oh, is that energy? I don't know. The energy is just going to run away. If you're like, oh, that feels nice, I'm enjoying it. That's the key to cultivating energy. So, okay, then when we're going to come to I lost count. We come to the 36. Okay, as women, you're going to be here. Men, you're going to be here. Okay. We're going to just wind back out the opposite way now, but the second time we're going to do it 24. Okay, so as woman, we come here, and now we're going to go the way the men started, towards the spleen, down the left, big circle down to the pubic bone. Men, you're starting with small circles going to big, the opposite way, but we're just doing 24 this time. Because women are centrifugal, men are centripetal. So this is a good kind of pace I'm doing. This pace or even smaller. And then coming back, you're going to just end up, guys, you're going to end up here. When you've done your 24, put your finger in the belly button, thumb in the belly button, sorry, exactly resting as we were. Okay. And then just bring your attention into your dantian, smile into your dantian, and see if you can feel something like energy feels different for different people. Might feel warm, it might feel pleasant, it might feel cold, it might feel relaxed, it might feel twinges of pain. We can sometimes get a dull pain. We can also get, when we're doing this, we might feel a relaxed feeling. And just smile into your dantian and set your intention to store the energy there. So we can say, like, you know, to the dantian and to the belly, now may the chi be with you. So we're really saying we want that energy in there. And for those of you who do the microcosmic orbit, right, the whole idea when we do this comes from the ancient Taoist teaching, we do the microcosmic orbit 9 times and we store in the dantian. Every time we do that, we put this drop of elixir into the belly, into the dantian. And this, with this elixir, we then are growing this immortal fetus in the belly. I have a friend that swears he's growing an immortal fetus in the belly. He talks about on Instagram, he's called Eso, E-S-O, Eso the God. Yeah, I recommend everyone go follow Eso the God. Yeah, on Instagram. He's talked about really, really interesting stuff to do with Taoism and immortality. Okay, so now, okay, so you guys got 3 exercises so far. A little below the solar plexus, it's 2 fingers below the navel in the center of the body. So we do clockwise circles first. Guys, yeah, you go clockwise, and then anti-clockwise. Women, we do the opposite. So, okay, cool. I've gone over my hour already, but we're gonna get on to the next part. Okay, recycling your sexual energy. This is what it's really famous for, and this, like, is a really powerful bit. So what we've done so far is we've laid the foundations to start to benefit from recycling sexual energy, and there is something we can all start doing today, even if you've never done this before. Okay, I'm not going to give you anything unsafe to do. I'm definitely not going to tell you to start squeezing your perineum or anything. I think that's something to be really, really careful with. It's essential to do the process of laying the foundations first in order to get the real benefits and even to prevent unwanted side effects. Because some people will learn like this or that Taoist thing from, like, you know, a YouTube video or something and be like, oh, it's not really doing anything. But when we start to do it in the systematic way, that's when we really can unlock the benefits. So sexual energy has various forms, like a spiritual form of it. Okay, there's a physical form of it. There's orgasmic energy. There's energetic sexual energy. They can all be used in different ways. And our sexuality is key to our existence as spiritual beings and essential to reconnect with the sacredness of our sexuality of this process, as part of this process. Okay, sexual energy can be draining or it can be sustaining, depending on your relationship with it, depending on your blockages that you have. The key to sexual transmutation is to open your heart to love. Okay, this is where it transmutes. When all these people are going, oh, I was squeezing my perineum like crazy, like it said in whatever book, nothing happened, their heart is not open for the alchemical process of the love and sexual energy transforming into the purple energy, which then rejuvenates the body at the cellular level. Okay, so maybe if we have time and people want to at the end, I'm even going to show you that exercise. Okay, but for now, yeah, so there are all kinds of techniques, and don't get me wrong, the techniques are fantastic, but there are certain things, like coming back to being like a child, being open to love. Those are like basic things that just doing those right will have such a powerful effect. And if you miss them, you can do every technique and you're going to get it wrong. Okay. So shame about sexuality is a big one. If you have that shame, you're not reconnected back to the sacredness of the sexuality. When we view it just as a way of getting off, okay, we're not understanding. And it is weird, right? If you just think, oh, this is just a way to get off, there is weird energy about it. When you start understanding this is how you rejuvenate the body at this cellular level, this is literally how you connect with God. Like the sexual energy comes from, you know, the sexual organs. It rises up through the lower dantian, through the heart, into the brain, and then it connects us up with God, and it's there within our body. You know, and even when there's people who understand, you know, Christianity in this Gnostic way, and it's about drawing the energy up and bringing it into the third eye, and this is actually what Christos is supposed to be about, and this is existing in Egyptian, it's existing in Tantra, it's existing in Taoism, you know, Native American as well. There's this knowledge that we can raise the energy up and we can activate ourselves in this physical way, which will do more than any amount of, you know, going to, you know, whatever religious ceremonies or whatever. Okay, so moving on from this, yeah, sexual frustration, too much sexual energy is blocked sexual energy. Lots of sexual energy that you feel comfortable with is not blocked. No sexual energy is blocked as well. You know, and sexual energy is innocent and it's pure, but it's not pure in the way that purity culture teaches us. I'm sure the Americans here know what I'm talking about. As British, we don't really know what purity culture is, right? But you Americans know that what I'm talking about there, right? You know, so it's a way to connect with ourselves, with our partner, with the divine. It's amazing, you know, and the blockages, they are belief systems. And the belief systems are unprocessed emotions. You know, the bad energy, when we think the bad energy is stagnant energy, the good energy is the flowing energy in the flow state. So continuously repressing sexual energy. So all these nice guys and nice people repressing their sexual energy. This is why you see, like in the church, you know, in religion, there's a lot of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation. All these people that they repress their sexual energy, and it comes out in all these shadowy ways. Whereas when we're able to really feel it come up into the heart and transmute into love, it's amazing. And there we go. Yeah, love, healthy sexuality. It's 50% love, 50% orgasm. You don't want to be in a marriage where you're all love and no sex. If you're all sex and no love, that's a problem as well. You want the balance and you want the connection. And I'll show you how to do this practice in a minute if you want. I'll ask you if you want, and then we can do it when I finish the PowerPoint. Okay. So yeah, and when we understand, like I said, that this is part of our spiritual nature, you know, it all starts to fall into place. And this is how you overcome shame. Okay, so we're going to look at sexual energy as hormones, and we can all transmute some sexual energy right now in the form of hormones, even if you've never done this before, completely safely. What I want to know is, does anyone have any idea what I'm going to show you how to do? And you are cheating if you're my client already, but anyways, anyone know who's not my client, what I'm going to show you? No, the microcosmic orbit was part 3. It's so simple. It's so simple. You're going to laugh. Yeah. Okay. Al, you must know. Brian, you must know what I'm going to show you. Al can explain to the guys. What are the guys going to do? Okay. It's so simple.
I can't explain it to him.
Al can't. Guys, put your hands between your legs and start to gently massage your balls. That's it. What you're doing is you're releasing stuck hormones, okay? Just massage your balls a little bit, very, very gentle. You get that nice feeling, that stuck hormones coming out of your testicles. That's why guys are getting testicular cancer and prostate cancer, because you've got all that stuck hormonal energy. And massaging your balls every day, anyone can do it, and it makes a huge difference. And what you can even do is just massage your balls and at the same time smile into your thymus, which is about here in your chest, and send that energy into your thymus. Guys, this is totally safe. As ladies, what we can do, we can, if you put your hands like this with that finger in the belly button, your baby fingers are touching your ovaries. You can massage your ovaries like that. Even easier, ladies, just go like this with your breasts. Get that nice feeling. Guys, you can also do this on your nipples and get that nice feeling, and also send that to your thymus. Okay. Okay. And then smile to your thymus, and let's just send those hormones into the thymus. So the thymus has got huge amounts to do with the immune system, but also the aging process. If you have a healthy thymus, you're going to feel you're going to be healthy. So it's so simple. When you massage your balls, when you massage your ovaries, when you massage your breasts, and you get that nice feeling, that's physical hormones releasing. Okay. It's good to do this as a woman. You know, it's good to do this as a man. Gentle self-massage, minute or 2 a day is really powerful and life-changing. Okay. So does that make sense? Any questions about that? Okay. Cool. So let's get on to the last part. And I feel like this is what, sexual energy and hormones. We just did this. I literally feel like everybody misses this last part. Okay, and this is a form of recycling sexual energy we just did. There's many different ways to do it, but that was a very, very simple form. Powerful exercise. You're going to really, like, your balls will thank you, you know, your ovaries will thank you, your breasts will thank you just for doing this. Okay, so let's move on to the last part. It's like returning to the childlike state. And this is key. And one thing, like, I just feel like, you know, when I first went to Mantak Chia's place, right? And I started, like, you know, I was there, I'd chat to these ladies. The ladies, I was thinking, oh, she's like 40 or something like that. They'd be like, oh, I'm 60. And I'd be like, oh, wow. Okay. You know, surprised that they seem so young and look so young, you know, not just look, but the nature. Okay. It's like beautiful energy. People doing, it was so nice to be there, so nice to be around Taoists. Like, people have such beautiful energy. And even when people, maybe they start doing Taoism and they have a little bit kind of weird energy or something, but through doing the exercises, it's like the energy just like would balance itself out, and you really notice it changing, like, and in yourself, you know, in me, like when I noticed changes happening in me, when, you know, I was having like chronic back pain, it's gone, yeah, like various, you know, my immune wasn't the best, right, is better. I was having anxiety problems sleeping, you know. I also noticed that, I'm going to be honest, like many people, I was identifying a little bit with victimhood, you know, which is not a great quality, because it is like a narcissistic quality. If you've been too victimy, that is a bit narcissistic, you know. And I found the inner strength to overcome my traumas and throw that out and stand in my power and say, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to identify as a victim anymore. I'm going to see myself as the powerful person that I am, which then enabled me to really start doing what I wanted to in the world, and to see my destiny and to be able to walk my destiny. Okay. So the journey of healing is about the return to becoming like in the childlike state. So coming back to this thing about the 5 organs and why do we have these 5 desires? And Buddhism obviously tells us, don't have desires, right? Because then you're not going to suffer. But the desires are part of living in the physical dimension, aren't they? So according to Taoism, like Taoist theory, when the soul comes to incarnates into the physical dimension, so at some point the soul comes into the mother's womb, joins the developing fetus, okay, because of the shock of going from living in the spirit realm into being in the physical dimension, it will fracture into 5 pieces, okay? And those 5 pieces go to live in your heart, your lungs, okay, your liver, your spleen, and your kidneys. And that's where the 5 desires and the 5 elements come from. Okay, so we start off in this state of shock and state of trauma just by the fact we've become a physical being. Okay, obviously that's what parents are there for, to help us, but we don't always have the perfect experience. Or maybe we brought stuff from past lives, you know, maybe we'll pick up ancestral stuff. You know, some people have an easier time, some people have a more difficult time, you know, but the Tao is the journey, and it's that journey of coming back to our pure self that is really like our pure authentic self. Because as long as we're not living in our authentic self, and the inauthentic self might be a really, really nice, really lovely person, but it's not authentic and it's not you. And if you're not being you and you're not showing your weird, quirky characteristics out to the world is missing out on something, because all those personality traits that make you, it's an important part of who you are, but it's also a gift you have to give to the world. And if you really believe in the perfection of life, if you believe in spirituality, God, the divine, whatever you want to call it, you understand that you are perfect. You know, even if you don't believe in anything and you somehow, there is this sense, I'm perfect. You know, obviously, if you look at your body, I'm flawed, I need this medicine and that or whatever to get perfect. Obviously, that's a different way of looking at your body. If you look at your body that way, fair enough. Okay, I would invite you to try to experience it in this way and suggest you may be more happy and fulfilled in this way. But obviously, it's up to you how you want to view life. But the Tao, the journey, is all about coming back to ourselves. And it's about coming back to being who we are. It's going back to that innocent state of being a child. And I know we have a few people from different religions here. I know we have a few Hindus here. I'm really interested. Is there anything in Hinduism that talks about coming back to be like an innocent child? I would love to, if there's any Hindus or people of other religions or faiths that would comment something. I don't know if any Muslims are here or any Jews, or I grew up personally as a Christian. But there's definitely like something in the Bible. I'm just saying, because I just saw this the other day and I was like, whoa. Okay. Can I find it there?
Yeah. Have you heard?
Oh yeah, can you share?
Yeah, in certain Hindu Kundalini yoga practices and like Tantra practices, they talk about becoming like a child of 5. And the reasoning behind it is that when you're a child, your energy meridians, you're not what they call nadis, are naturally open, and it allows for energy to pass through. And they say that if energy is able to pass through unobstructed from the top of the head down to the sole of the feet and then back up through the earth, that you're generally in a state of good physical health, emotional health, and then that creates clear passageways for Kundalini to ascend. But if your energy system is very blocked, usually through the sense of bitterness, resentment, anger, frustration, all the stress that comes with being an adult, right? Then the energy doesn't flow as well. Your sense of vitality and well-being is lessened. And then you have to do more purification and like preparatory work in order for Kundalini energy to circulate through the spine.
Yeah, and I thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. And I do think, like, because when we look at whether it's Taoism, whether it's Tantra, Hinduism, the different faiths and so on, also maybe the less well-known faiths, there is this whole idea of, there's a bunch of places in the Bible, which I guess is Judaism, when they talk about this future where the lion and the lamb or whatever, we lying down together, and they say everything's going to be led by a little child, or there's Jesus who says, let the children come to me. I just Googled this. You need to change and become like little children. If you don't, you won't enter the kingdom of heaven. This is all the same stuff. So thank you for what you just shared. I know somebody just typed something in there. I'm just curious. Unless you become like little children, you won't enter. Yeah, so when we're talking about becoming like a little child again, obviously there's different stages of childlikeness. Now, I've noticed when you talk to Master Chia, for example, okay, and he's like so knowledgeable and he's so developed and advanced, and there's a lot of gurus out there that are, maybe their energy's a bit weird, right? He'll give a lecture, right? And he will talk about this stuff that's so developed, yeah, that even me, who's been learning this for over a decade, I will be on the edge of my ability to take in the information. It's so advanced what he's talking about. He'll stop, he'll have a break, he'll be standing there. You go up to him and you ask him a question, even if you ask what could seem like the most stupid question, he will answer it in this innocent state that you really feel like you're just, when you see children talking and they have this purity to them, it's like he has that sense of purity. And for example, if he's talking about if you've ever heard his lecture about sexual practices, and he's talking about, he's explaining, okay, this is how you lick the vagina, this is how you finger the vagina. A lot of people might talk about that and it might come across a bit seedy or something. Whereas with him, it just comes across so pure. I don't know how else to explain it, but I think that probably people know what I'm talking about here, because immortality is about returning to being your true nature, to being a child. In the same way, the real sexual fulfillment comes when we return into the relationship of innocence in our sexuality. And this also comes back to this sad situations I was talking about before. And this is just, we need so much sexual healing in the world. It's when you look at, I just feel like every problem in the world will be cured through sexual healing. You know, when you look at sexual exploitation, and it's horrible and it's distressing to hear about it, you know, and yet at the same time, these people just need sexual healing. We all need this sexual healing. And I truly believe when we heal ourselves, it's like hundreds or thousands of other people can be healing just because of that inner work you do, you know. So I'm a big believer, and I've really seen this happen, you know, and seen the fact that we can really heal ourselves and heal other people. And somebody was saying to me recently, you know, there's a lot of people getting depressed about various like sad things happening in the world, like genocides and things like this. They were saying, you know, when you bring the universal energy into your head, right, and then you bring it down into your heart, and you're filling your heart with the universal energy, and you expand your heart out, you know, to everybody who's suffering, you know, but not just the victims. You're sending it to the terrorists, you're sending it to the soldiers, you're sending it to the politicians, to the abusers, you're sending that love, because love heals infinitely. And you're just, and it's the universal love that you're amplifying in your heart. So it's not, you're giving your own energy as well, just to say, right? This is actually an act of healing that's so powerful, and it will come back to you, you know. So instead of needing to feel upset about what's happening inside of the world, you know, when we do this simple act of healing, we can really be healing other people as well. So I recommend, it's so simple. I recommend try this, guys, practice it, you know. So there's a certain, this childlike innocent to it, but obviously we are talking about the sexuality, so that's more of a teenagey thing, right? Because when we're teenagers, we're starting to experience the sexuality, we're starting to explore it. I'm so lucky that I grew up before internet porn, right? You know, because you had the odd, you know, I mean, I remember seeing porn mags when I was like, you know, a teenager, and that was even before like plastic surgery and shaved, you know, vaginas or whatever. Like, I really had that experience before all of it got like, you know, I don't know what word to use, but a little bit perverted, I guess, you know. So what's beautiful about that, I think, was we got to experience like those like awkward moments in the dark, fumbling about, not knowing what you're doing. Yeah, well, self-consciousness, unfortunately, you know, is not a good thing. That's connecting to the shame and the programming and everything. Because also the programming, it tells us, oh, that's shameful, but then it's also telling us, oh, but you should be like a sophisticated, mature, knowledgeable adult sexual woman when you've never even had sex. So it's like these two kind of contradictory sides is creating this sort of dissonance, whereas what we're trying to do is come into that place in the center, which is that place of peace and acceptance and understanding, where we can be in the relaxed state, enjoying the sexuality in the relax and enjoy, and not the flight or fight, because we're programmed to experience it in flight or fight. So all this stuff of it's dirty, it's naughty, this is all about creating adrenaline and flight or fight around the sexuality, whereas for the sexual energy to be really rejuvenating the body at the cellular level, we need to be in the relax and the enjoy state. Okay, so this is about being fun and playful. It's about the benevolence, being sweet and kind. Okay, for me, it's very much about getting in the feminine, men getting in the masculine. You can take that meaning what you want. Okay, I'm not imposing my idea of it onto other people. But it's the state of the pure-heartedness as well, is having this pure heart, but that's way beyond anything existing in purity culture. It's not about being perfect, but it's being you. It's being the authentic you. Okay, it's about being fun. It's being a little bit silly, you know. It's about being, you know, maybe not fitting everything what we're supposed to do, but you get, you know, because an adult can go, you can go boring, and then when you go boring as an adult, you're just kind of going into the aging process. Whereas if you keep that sense of fun and joy and childlikeness, and I really want to invite you all to just, you know, tune into that childlike purity and tune into that sense of fun, you know, and this sense of experiencing your sexuality as a really sacred thing. And with it, that sense of purity that is just, it's like the magic that brings everything we've just done alive. Because I think you can do everything and really go into in a lot of detail. But if you haven't got this state, you're not going to get it. Okay. So that's the end of my PowerPoint, guys. Okay. I don't know if anyone here that's kind of done this process with me wants to share anything. Oh God, why does this just open again? If anybody wants to share anything, or if anyone's got any questions, anything wasn't clear, I can give you the chance to just unmute or type something if you like. And if you like, we can go into then looking how do we bring the sexual energy, which is the sexual energy, which is the blue energy of orgasm and the red energy of love. How do we bring those two together and create that alchemy of love and orgasm, and create that connection between the love and the orgasm that we spoke about earlier, and create the 50-50 love and orgasm, right? So someone just asked me, is there a Taoist equivalent to Patala chakras? What are Patala chakras? Just the 7 chakras, or?
So in like yoga, coming like Hindu yoga, you have like the 7 chakras of the spine. And those typically what people talk about when they talk about the chakras. And this has to do with like human consciousness into like divine consciousness. But then there's also 7 inverse chakras, from the one from the root to the crown, and they go down the legs with like masculine and feminine polarity. And those are basically like the like evil chakras, like, or the shadow chakras, and they connect to the opposite energy of like the 7. So for example, like when you were talking about like sexual exploitation and the really like tragic ways in which it's very rampant in the world, that wouldn't be associated with like normal human sacral center sexuality that aspires towards connection with the heart, but rather it's like that love and sex connection then becomes like sex and hatred, or like enjoyment of other people's suffering, and then that would be coming from what they call the Vitala chakra, which would be like deeper into the thighs. That's actually coming from a totally different energy center. But I wonder if it's an equivalent of that.
I'll explain that. Okay, but just what you just said about the exploitation and this lower self, because in a way, I don't like the term lower and higher self, but the thing is, there's 2 ways of looking at it, because there is the exploitative self, which is drained, and they're blocked, right? And unfortunately, the culture is, for unconscious people, the culture is encouraging that. So for example, now you have like, pornography is showing things that are like, it's one thing to do that in a conscious kind of way. It's another thing to just be in bed with a woman and start strangling her without her consent, and porn is showing that. And then people are on these low states of consciousness, and for example, they might be using like dating apps to basically like, then find people and exploit them. This is a big thing that's happening now, to the extent like in the UK, they've been like passing laws to try to like stop it and stuff, and they have all these governments I don't know, investigatory committees that are trying to like figure out why have they been educating people so well about, sexuality, but they're still increasing in all these kinds of abuses. And I think that's a big factor in it. Anyways, so that's one form of lower self. We could say the dark side, even though I don't like saying the dark side is bad and the light side is good, but there's something that's very blocked and yucky that, let's be honest, we all know that exists. Okay. So then we have, female ejaculation. Let's go into that in a minute. I love female ejaculation. There's a video, Mantak Chia, female ejaculation. You can watch it, on YouTube. Okay. So when we do the microcosmic orbit, we take it through these 8 points, up and down. Okay. This is basically, you're activating your chakras as you do this. Okay. We also have those 3 dantians, which are kind of 3 chakras, because I think in Tibetan Buddhism, you have 3 chakras. There's other systems, you have much more chakras as well. So when you're doing the microcosmic orbit, you're also balancing the 3 chakras. Now, when we look at the nadis, right? Okay. The nadis, okay. The Sushumna, okay. This is all we're talking about the same thing, but we're talking about it in a different way. We're balancing the nadis when we're doing the inner smile and so on. We're activating the Sushumna through the microcosmic orbit and other similar exercises. as well. But what I would say is this is much more about, let's get those physical organs working. Let's reverse aging. Let's get our body into a very, very good physical state. And let's also get our life here in the mundane world, our business successful, our career working well, our family good. Yeah. This is very much about living in the physical dimension, having this powerful platform in the physical dimension, and trusting enlightenment then comes as the energy rises up through your centers. And I know you're a business owner, I believe, Julian, and I think for other people here who are business owners, we know, yeah, when you have your own business, right, you get challenged, right, you experience things that are just, scary, and it can be frightening, and you can go through all kinds of emotions. My God, I think it's tested me so much, and it's so brought out the best in me as well. It's made me so much of a better person. It's really brought me like a kind of certain level of enlightenment, because also, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Julian, maybe you're like at these points where you're not in the flow state, yeah, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough money to pay my rent. But then somehow, if you are a spiritual person and you trust the universe, and suddenly it's there in your bank account, the money to pay the rent or whatever. And there were times in the past where I had panic about certain financial things, and somehow I just realized, okay, the universe is here taking care of me, is providing anything, and having that spiritual relationship with your entrepreneurship. And I work with a business coach who really teaches that, right? He's actually an East Asian guy, as it goes. Yeah, he denies he knows anything about East Asian culture, but it's very East Asian what he does teach. It's so you can say the lower self is the lower three chakras, which is all about, survival, right? Pleasure and your drive. Yeah. Okay. This is an important part of you, because if all you've got is your three upper chakras activated, and you're like, I'm so spiritual, I'm so high, but please, can you lend me a tenner because I can't get my life in the physical dimension together? And that's not good either. We need, like, when we have the lower self in that sense is nice and active, right? And we have a good relationship, because I guess when we don't have the good relationship with the lower self, that's when we get all that yicky, nasty stuff we don't want. Then we got the upper self, and when we're using the microcosmic orbit to bring them up and down, because I think if you're doing, like, say, tantra and yoga, and you're up in the mountains and you're also enlightened and you don't have any of the stresses of life, it's fantastic. Okay. I think that Taoism, it has these adaptations that allows us to, like, even if we're having like a really difficult, really stressful life, even if you're like mega traumatized, that you've been even diagnosed with a personality disorder, you're like super, super dysregulated, you can't get over your trauma, you've been going through it for years. I've seen people start doing these practices, and even they're in their 40s and 50s, and their whole life turns around. If you want to do it and you want to get that change, and you implement this, because you can go through years of therapy. And I had an extremely traumatic childhood, right? I went through years of therapy, and I probably resolved this stuff, but what happened was there was still an energetic imprint that was blocking me. Okay. And it was not until I addressed that energetic imprint that I started being able to sleep at night, that I started being able to have orgasms, and full body multiple orgasms, that obviously that's trauma if you're not having orgasms, that I started to overcome anxiety. And obviously you can get anxious about anything, but these various things, it was when I removed the blockages, that was when it all started working again. So I do think we can figure it all out in the head, but if we haven't removed those blockages, we're still going to have the problem. Maybe I'm going off on a tangent. The more you trust in the universe, the more trustable it becomes. And definitely, I mean, I had like super hardcore religious American style parents, yeah, who live in America, right? You Americans know what I'm talking about, that it's traumatic, right? That when you're having Christianity pushed on you in this way, I get it when you Americans talk like that, because we don't really experience this in England. But I went complete atheist, right? And I was also like quite unhealthy. I was having like real, not health problems like, cancer or something like that, but I wasn't a healthy person. I had to even just learn to start eating vegetables and being healthy. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I was so traumatized. I went so atheist. But I was having this things like anxiety, and I wasn't the happiest person, to be honest. But when I started coming back into, there's something out there I can trust, I can have faith, I can know I'm being held. And I started coming back into the sense of faith. And for me, it was coming back to my Christian heritage. Obviously Christianity has caused a lot of trauma. It can be interpreted in various different ways. But for me, it was coming back to like that consciousness of, why does Jesus say, turn the other cheek and love your enemy? It's because it's that red love fire energy that's protecting you from everything, and it all makes sense. And when you're experiencing whatever spiritual tradition in that place of higher consciousness, you're going to be just experiencing it as a beautiful thing. When you're experiencing religion in a place of lower consciousness, that's when you're all like, you're a sinner, you're a this, you need to change, So female ejaculation, right? So just as it's famous that in Taoism we say men should not ejaculate, it's not quite as simple as that, okay? Experimenting with less ejaculation can be really great. If you feel really you're in the right place and you get to that place where you're so in harmony with never ejaculating, fantastic. If you're forcing yourself not to ejaculate and you're getting all these weird symptoms in your body, don't, yeah. Just work on this simple inner alchemy and just allow your body to relax, open up, and start increasing its capacity to hold energy. Because when we're smiling to the organs, we're using the 6 healing sounds and so on. That's what we're doing, and that's what this is all about. Because as we increase the capacity to hold energy, we are having more energy, which means we're increasing the immortality, right? Ejaculating cyclically. I have a Taoist friend that's trained with, like, he's a millionaire guy that's trained with like so many high-level Taoists who will ejaculate once a week on clockwork. Okay, he keeps all the energy in and just ejaculates the fluid out, and he looks really, really young. He's very, very vibrant. You can see he's really doing the right thing with the energy. Some people will like go years without it, right? You got to see what's working with you, because this is all about building up a relationship with your body rather than whoever on the Instagram of semen retention group went 157 days, so I need to go 157 days. That's not what we want to be doing, and we do not want to be repressing the sexual energy. If you're not ejaculating and you're repressing your sexual energy, and if you've looked in those semen retention groups on Instagram with 100,000 people following and they're full of misogyny, that is because they're repressing their sexual energy. And then they're blaming women, right? Whereas if it's rising up into their heart and they're feeling love, they're going to see the women as goddesses. If your sexual energy is repressed, you're seeing women as whores. If you're in that seedy relationship with the sexual energy, men will be oppressors and men will be violators. If you're really in that beautiful, like, alchemizing relationship with your sexual energy as a woman, the man is going to be there like as your servant, doing everything for you. It is like, Julian, I know you know what I mean, so yeah, that was a great point what you made there, Julian. And Mantek Chia says, if you're like, I don't know exactly what it is, say you're up to 25, you should do it 2 times a week, up to 35 like 1 time a week, up to 45 every other week, and after a certain age to stop. It's I think this is stuff to have fun with. It's not stuff to be oppressed by, and that's what's important. Okay, female ejaculation, right? Okay, is amazing, right? And in Tantra, in Taoism, it's like, my God, I want to do a whole one of these about female ejaculation and female pleasure, guys. Okay, because I could talk about this for ages. And I started off teaching like about female pleasure and female ejaculation to men. And that's how this all started for me, right? Okay, so when, for example, female ejaculation our partner, the male partner maybe, or the female partner, whatever, can make us ejaculate. They can make us squirt, right? Or we can have a tantra massage, which can make us squirt, right? there's different types of female ejaculation as well. Okay, we might be able to even make ourselves to do it, which for me is harder. Other people found it difficult, but eventually I figured out how to get myself to squirt, which was pretty fun as well when I had that breakthrough as well, because then I wasn't relying on someone else to get me to do it. But it is so good for you. It is different from male ejaculation. It's almost like, as women, we should ejaculate a lot, yeah. As men, not so much, yeah. This is actually Tantra, which is the opposite of what society tells us, right? Now, when you ejaculate and you release this fluid, and probably a lot of you will know, you can release liters of fluid, like, and a very small, slim, skinny woman who's like half the size of me can release liters. And where on earth does it come from? How is it even possible? How is it not pee? You know, what you're releasing is, it's like you're releasing, like, it's coming from the lymphatic system, basically. Okay, you can get very dehydrated, okay, and almost pass out if you do. It's happened to me once or twice, so you need to keep drinking, but it's good, and it is clearing out your lymphatic system, right? And this different styles of squirting, because you can squirt from the G spot, which is the classic watery, that almost seems like pee that squirts out, right? You can squirt from inside, from the A spot, right? Okay, which is a more kind of a creamy. You can have a squirt come from your cervix as well, which can be like mad, like gooey, like jelly, kind of crazy stuff. Yeah, okay, that's 3 types. Okay, there's a 4th type, which can come from the K spot, K being Kundalini. That's if the woman's lying on the back, you're putting the finger down and kind of touching at the tip of the sacrum. But there seems to be kind of 2 K spots that I found. Okay, but there might be like 36 pleasure spots, and God knows how many types of ejaculation. And if you find more, let me know. Yeah, because female like pleasure has been so not studied. And my teacher, Martin Boudoin, who teaches this gynecological body work, he says most of like investigation about the female body was done on a cadaver, a dead body. Yeah, in other words, in fact, almost all the research done on human anatomy was done on male cadavers, right? Who were usually like criminals that have been put to death or something like that. Okay, they weren't doing them on women, because unfortunately sometimes the male medical students would go and have sex with the female cadaver or something back in the day when people were all sexually repressed. There's all these weird medical facts, right? You learn when you start looking into this, but you're looking at a female body, and how on earth are you going to find a G-spot or female ejaculation or anything? Yeah, forget it. Okay, obviously a big problem with Western sexology is that there's still a lot of taboo around that stuff. Okay, I don't know if like Harvard or whatever these universities are, Columbia, could you get like a research grant to study female ejaculation? I don't know. I think now people's opinions are changing, and I think it could happen. But basically, you know, I had a guy in India that wanted me to come, and I might do it. Yeah, he wants to stick all these monitor things on my body, like when you're having your heart checked, and get me to have different types of orgasms and like measure stuff that's going on in my body. I'm up for it, but I just have to find the right time to go there and do it, you know. But basically, female orgasms, right? Female ejaculation, even Western science knows that cervical orgasms drastically reduces your chance of getting cervical cancer. Okay, when we're having this orgasm and there's the vibration going on in the body, in the cells, it's opening everything up. Yeah, so I want to do a whole class about this. Thank you, Maury, for asking. Okay, let's move on. Is there any more questions, by the way, guys? Like, please, you can't tell me that there's no questions about this. What I'll do is, you know what, we'll do a practice, and if you want to ask a question, and I've turned off the recording so it's private, we'll do that at the end as well. Okay, so, oh yeah, tell me, do you want to try it? Give me a 3 in the chat if you want to learn how to bring the love and the sexual energy together. Give me a 3. Okay, I know some of you know how to do this. Okay, really simple. That's worth it. Let's do it. Okay, so Sorry, I've been 2 hours already, but obviously we're having a lot of fun. So, okay, we have the very, very basic is what we're going to do is we're going to cultivate energy. We're going to move energy. It's so simple. Anyone can do this. Don't overthink it. Do it like a child. Relax and enjoy it. That's it. Okay. So we have the love center in the heart center, in the center of the chest. It will be right between where the two nipples are on the guy. Obviously, as a woman, the two nipples is going to be in a different position, likely, but it's kind of there. Okay. But it is like this big. Okay. The sexual center is basically where the sacral chakra is. It's where the womb is on the woman, is just above your pubic bone. Okay. And that's the other energy center we're working with. Simply put, we cultivate energy by smiling, right? We all know how to do that. So just put your feet shoulder width apart, your hands on your knees. We can have a little wiggle, a little move. Just open up your shoulders, your body, wiggle your hips. See if you can get a nice feeling as you wiggle your hips and move your buttocks as well. Okay, and we're going to take a few deep breaths into the belly. See if you can breathe with your thoracic diaphragm. Breathing in relaxation, breathing out tension. And then we're going to bring our attention into the heart, and we're going to smile into the heart, connecting into the heart and connecting into the heart, into the feelings of love in your heart. So we're almost going to just visualize love like a red energy, which comes from the fire element. And we're smiling there. We're feeling that red energy activating in our hearts, just like a nice, loving, warm, secure, pleasant feeling. We don't need to think it. We can just feel it. Just notice what we feel. You know, we can feel twinges. We can feel a warm, expansive feeling. We can feel emptiness. Everything we feel is fine. You know, that if you get a negative feeling, it's actually energy unblocking, so it's a good thing. And we're going to just smile. We're going to visualize that red energy, and through the visualization, we're going to actualize. So we go beyond visualization into actualization, and we feel the red energy vibrating through the physical heart, through the muscles, through the ventricles, through the blood vessels. It's vibrating through your cells. It's opening, healing the cells. It's a beautiful feeling. Expanding through your chest, the feeling of self-love. And then we're going to use our attention to expand, to contract into a ball. We're going to place a ball the size of a tennis ball. We're creating this tennis ball of red energy, and we're just placing it into our heart. And we're kind of like leaving that red energy there spiraling in our heart. As you're smiling there into your heart, just feeling that red energy, just like a nice feeling. Enjoying that lovely red feeling in the heart. And then you're moving your attention down to the sexual center. So it's basically where the sacral chakra is, where the womb is on the woman. We're placing the hands over the sexual center, almost as if we're holding it. We're smiling there, and we're connecting with the orgasmic energy, the energy of orgasm. And this is a blue energy that comes from the kidneys. And it's the energy of the water element. So we can feel that connection into the kidneys, into the water element, and we can observe that the true state of the blue sexual energy is a peaceful state. We can visualize it as a blue lake on a still summer day. So it's this calm blue lake of water that's sitting there in your pelvis. But at the same time, we can notice this energy is so extremely powerful. It's so powerful. It has the power to create a new life. And that this energy is the energy which created you. So we're all created from an orgasm, of course. The energy links you into your DNA, which connects you also to your ancestors, and in fact to all of humanity, because we're all related. It connects us to all those human beings that have been in the past and to all those that are to be in the future again. So there's this incredible connection from our sexual energy to all of humanity, to our ancestors, to our family, and to the human family as well. And then bringing your attention back to your sexual center. You can just visualize for a moment, you're coming back into the sexual center and you're walking into a cave. And as you walk into the cave, you can notice in the center of the cave is a fire. And that sitting around the fire is a group of old people. And that those old people, you can notice now that they are your ancestors, and they're sitting there around the fire and they're telling stories and they're imparting wisdom to you. And all of this wisdom is actually stored in your DNA and in your body and in all that so-called junk DNA, which is not junk at all. You're holding all this wisdom and knowledge from your ancestors, which you are able to go in and you're able to go into your body and access them. So let's take a moment and just thank our ancestors for doing that for us. As we come back into the sexual center and into that blue lake in the sexual center, we're connecting with that blue energy and we're feeling the blue energy, like that blue lake. And we're now forming that blue energy into a blue ball that is the size of a tennis ball that we're placing there into the sexual center, and we're placing the hands over that sexual center. So if you haven't done this before, you've just cultivated energy just now. And what we're going to now do is we're going to move energy. So we're going to use our energy, our mind to move that blue ball of energy up into the sexual center. And the way we're going to do that is that we are going to guide the blue ball. We're going to use the mind, and to help the mind, we're going to guide the blue ball with our hands up into the heart. We're going to do that on the inhale. And as we inhale, we're going to breathe in with a sucking sound. Okay. And as we do that suck, there's going to just be a little gentle squeeze into the perineum to help us guide that ball of energy up into our heart. So when you're ready, you're going to exhale all the way out. And then breathing in with the sucking sound, we're going to draw the blue ball up into the heart. Drawing the blue ball up into the heart, placing it into our hearts and smiling there into the heart as you're feeling the blue energy is combining with the red energy. And we're having an alchemical reaction. It's like a chemical reaction, but it's an alchemical reaction. So the secret with this sacred sexuality Taoist stuff is that you go from chemistry to alchemy, right? So this is an alchemical reaction, and the red and the blue combine, and now it's turning into like a burgundy color, and we can feel it's increasing in frequency and also in quantity, and that the burgundy energy is like spreading a little bit out through the chest, and the energy is increasing. So you can just smile to your heart as you feel this alchemy between the blue and the red. And when we're ready, we're going to breathe out and we're going to exhale out. And we're going to bring the red ball of energy down to the sexual center. So you can visualize a orange sun setting down into your blue lake as you guide the ball down, feeling this ball of fire coming into the sexual center, which obviously often can be a cold place, but we're bringing in the warmth from the heart. And this is really good for libido and fertility and so on. We're bringing the red fire energy, and we're feeling this increased feeling of warmth. And that as the red and the blue combine is turning into this violet color, which is increasing in frequency, is becoming warmer. We can feel it spreading out into the pelvis. And we're going to draw it up again. So when you're ready, exhaling out using the same technique and drawing the blue energy up again into your heart. Feeling the blue combining with the red, smiling to your heart, feeling the alchemical reaction. And now it's becoming like a purple color, which is going at an even higher frequency, and it's spreading out even more through your lungs, your heart, your chest, your shoulders, your thorax. You're feeling that purple energy. And then exhaling again and drawing the red ball of energy back down to the sexual center. Placing it into the sexual center. Smiling to your sexual center, and you're feeling the blue and the red combining, and you're feeling the alchemical reaction, and you're feeling the purple energy is now spreading through your pelvis, and you're feeling this increased feeling of warmth and vibration of the sexual energy and love energy combined. This having this incredible alchemical reaction. You're feeling this amazing blue energy. And again, exhaling out and drawing the energy up again. And now you're feeling the red and the blue is combining into the violet color, and you're feeling the alchemy of the red and the blue into the violet color, which is spreading out through your chest, your heart, your lungs, neck, head, shoulders, arms, thorax, liver, stomach, spleen, pancreas. And this violet light is vibrating at the same frequency as the violet light from the universe. And you're going to invite the violet light from the universe down into your body, into the violet light that you've alchemized. And you're going to feel it's all that both of these violet lights are joining together, and they're vibrating through your cells, and they're starting to vibrate your cells back to their original programming and their original frequency. And you can ask that the violet light of the universe help to restore your cells back to their original programming and original frequency. And exhaling again, we're going to draw the red energy down into the sexual center. As we feel the red and the blue combining and creating the violet light again. And we're feeling that the violet light is spreading through the pelvis, sacrum, intestines, abdomen, hips, pubic bone, sexual organs, so prostate, anus, testicles, penis, vagina, cervix, womb, the fallopian tubes, the ovaries, the whole, it's coming down the thighs, the femur bones into the knees and the legs. You can feel that beautiful warm vibration of the purple light, and you can feel that violet light from the universe coming down into your lower body, and it's vibrating through your cells. It's returning your cells back into their original programming. And you're feeling that beautiful energetic vibration of the alchemy of the blue and the red energy spreading through your body. And you can scan with your mind through your body, see if you notice any tension, pain, or discomfort, any part of your body that's blocked. And you can just smile and just spread that alchemized energy to heal any part of the body that's asking for it. As you continue to breathe in and out, breathing up the energy and down the energy. Noticing that both energy centers are now violet, and you're bringing the violet energy up and down. And then in the end, we're going to come back to rest in the heart. And we're going to just send the message to the body and to that meridian that draws the energy from the sexual center up into the heart. And we're going to just tell it to stay open and to continue to feed the orgasmic energy up into the heart. And this is just, we only just now worked with orgasmic energy in its spiritual form, not in its physical form, just so you know. So that's why it's a safe exercise to do. And the love is a spiritual energy. So we've just brought the spiritual together, basically. And like, I find if people is experiencing any kind of like shame or incongruence around the sexuality, this is just perfect. And then let's just come back down to our dantian and just give a little rub on the dantian. Just the way we learn. So we're feeling that energy. Feeling it all gathering there in the belly. Oh. Coming back and just smiling into your dantian, and see if you can feel that energy stored there in your dantian. I'm just saying to the belly, let the chi be with you, because when that energy center is full, it's just providing the energy to wherever in the body needs, just automatically. So then it's always just nice to have a little wiggle, you know, at the end of the exercise. And there we go. So I'm going to say that's it. Okay, only 6 people left. Still got 11 of you here. So let's stop the recording.